Welcome back to another episode of the President's Play Final Fantasy. Last time we were able to go through the ice cavern to obtain the Levistone, which lead us to this airship, in addition to getting through a volcano and the second crystal.
Thanks for the recap, but I'm pretty sure the audience is able to figure that out if they just watched the video from before, though our genius editor forgot to include the background music last time, so it makes sense that you skipped it entirely.
Honestly, I was just saying it so Joe would be up to speed. We all know of his memory being a little bit non-existent sometimes.
There's no need to worry about my memory, Barack. I am perfectly capable of remembering our playthrough of Golf with Your Friends to be caught up now.
That is just more proof that we need to do the recap at the beginning of the video, and probably a few more times later on in the video, just to be sure there's no way you'll forget.
I think someone should have asked this earlier, but what are we going to be doing today exactly?
Good question. We will be going through a few lesser important parts of the game. The most interesting being an optional area that if we get the special item at the end, we'll be granted upgrades to our jobs, letting us become even better than we already are. That, and we'll be visiting a few new towns and getting some new items, though no crystals today.
I'm pretty sure I don't need any upgrades since I'm already the best player here, but I suppose I'll go along with it if everyone else is already...
I do wonder, is this guy's whole purpose just to stand here and let whomever comes in just says what they have to do? Is it possible for a sign to be placed here instead, since that serves the same purpose?
I wish I could replace you with a sign sometimes, and by sometimes I mean all the time.
Hey, I was gonna ask one of you, what exactly do we have to do to get this great item here?
We're going to have to go through these teleporters. Most of them will just send you back to the beginning, or pretty close there, so we have to pick the ones that will advance us further. There's no real way to tell which one is which. You just kind of have to guess your way through it.
Just like Donald guesses through his speeches?
No more like when you guess your way around walking and you usually fall down since your guesses are wrong, especially up and down stairs, on a bike, really anywhere.
I'm just glad Joe's not the one leading us through here, otherwise we'd never get to the end of this place.
Okay, that's enough. Sure, Joe has limited memory and walking abilities, but that doesn't mean he has no unique qualities.
He definitely has unique qualities. I just can't think of anything good. You were in office while he was the vice president. What kind of notable characteristics did you notice?
Well, there was that time there was him putting ice cream in the fridge and taking it out a lot. That was pretty good, I guess. Can I get back with you later on this?
Do I have any input on this, or should I just listen to you insult me some more?
You can come in whenever you'd like with your defensive character. Nobody is stopping you.
There was that time I told the story about my childhood that was a good time. There's my natural charm and good looks I bring to the group.
If there's anyone bringing good looks to the group, it's obviously me, no contest.
Don't get ahead of yourself. We all know I am the superior looking member, both my in-game character and in reality.
I think we can stop insulting Joe and making assumptions about the group's person with good looks when it's obviously me. I want to focus on the...
Hold up there, Barack. Are you really trying to do this again? Are you just that satisfied being the mediator to our group? Sure, we may have been a bit harsh on Joe, but at the same time, you blatantly assuming you are the attractive one, when you wanted to stop focusing on Donald and myself doing the same thing isn't fair. You aren't the mediator. You are just like us, except you're trying to hide it behind being a peacekeeper.
In all this time, I thought you were saving the roast for the boss fights.
What are you getting at, Ben? All of us know I am the real peacekeeper. It's usually Donald and Joe getting at it while you're on the sidelines half the time, and the other half you're insulting us too. I am really the one holding this group together. Otherwise, it would be a non-stop argument against Joe.
While I wish you would use a different phrase than Donald and I getting at it, I do think you're kind of right. I do think you're the one trying to keep us together, but you can't let it go to your head and overinflate your ego.
I didn't actually ask you, but thank you anyway for your opinion that I won't consider maybe if you'd...
That's not okay to say to him. He can give his opinion even if he is wrong sometimes. And by sometimes, I mean all the time. His wrong opinion is welcome, is the point I was making.
Thanks, I think.
Wow, I think I may have made a mistake. Getting that rat's tail as a reward really changed my perspective on things, Joe. I apologize for whatever I said. You didn't deserve that, and you do have good qualities, even if I can't really name any of them off the top of my head. Sometimes I do get a bit full of myself when I stop you all from fighting, but then I become just as bad.
Wait, getting the rat's tail was what changed your mind, not any of us convincing you otherwise? How exactly does that work?
I started to think that this is what will let us prove we are worthy to Bahamut the dragon near these caves. We're searching for him and the items now. But I realized that even something that seemingly doesn't serve a point can be proof of true greatness when given to the right person. That made me think about us and made me change my mind.
So what, we don't serve a point? Do we have to be given to someone to prove something? I'm not sure what the lesson is here.
I think Barack just lost his mind is all. He has no clue what's going on anymore. I'm starting to consider recasting his position, but let's see what happens here.
Oh, great Bahamut, lend us your ears. We have went and gotten you a rat's tail. I'm sure we probably could have found one in the back of half the towns we went to. I'm not sure why we needed to give you this specific one. I hope we are worthy of your upgraded abilities.
He's already doing it, Barack. It's fine. We proved ourselves.
Donald, I do wonder, is this going to make Barack go back to normal? I don't know what's gotten into him, but he's been insane for a bit of this episode. I'm not sure if he will ever become normal again.
Okay, Barack, it's time for you to stop. I'm going to have to remove you from here if you keep that up.
Whoa, where am I? Guys, what happened to me? I don't remember anything in the past few minutes clearly.
Did you do something that would have made you like that? It's very out of character for you. You were very insulting and full of yourself.
I know what happened. I was trying to think of something that Joe was good at. So I took one of his pills that helps him remember. I had a few left over that he forgot to bring with him after I left office and wanted to try remembering. Apparently, it makes me much worse though, and it didn't even work. I'm not taking those again. I'm not sure how you do it, Joe. I guess that is something good about you. You don't have those adverse reactions.
It may have been the fact you took medication not prescribed to you that's at least 7 years old.
Someone
but
say
I guess
7-year-old?
We'll go with that. Now that you're presumably back to normal, what is this place here?
This is the place where a bottled fairy was kept. We are going to a new town in a moment and free the fairy which is needed before we can enter the next area of the game.
Is there some sort of monopoly on bottled fairies? I don't think we've seen any in or out of a bottle besides this one. How do you even catch one of these? Is this akin to slavery since they are probably sentient, or is this more like owning a pet in this world?
I think you've put in more time thinking about this than the developers did. It's best to keep this in mind as this is a fantasy-based game, and we don't need to judge it based on the real-world implications, however disturbing they may be at points.
No, that is why I am here. I am critically analyzing this because nobody else is going to. That is what the truly free thinkers would do. All of the people conforming to the majority are bottled in just the same way, only it's a mental bottle instead of a literal one. That, and you'd need a much larger bottle, I suppose.
Great analysis, Ben. I'm sure if you'll make a video on Daily Wire about it, then you'll get tens, maybe even 100 views on that. Perhaps if you're also willing to dedicate some time contemplating the thought process of who owns these crystals and if they have a moral obligation to keep them in some dungeon in order to keep the world safe.
That is the best idea you've ever come up with, or it's at least good for a Democrat. I am definitely writing an article about this on Twitter before I put my full thoughts on video form.
That's a great idea. I would like to see that video when you're done with it.
Thank you, Joe, although I don't think you're able to truly comprehend the kind of videos I make. They're very critical and think they'd go over your head. I think you'd spend your time better eating ice cream in the Oval Office.
I don't see why I can't do both at the same time. I can put it on my phone while eating ice cream with my other hand. I'm a self-proclaimed expert in multitasking.
No, you aren't, but more importantly, Ben, you just got the holy spell. It only took you 4.5 videos, but you finally got a decent damaging spell against regular enemies. I'm so proud of you. I'm glad I get to have this moment instead of just thinking you're still only good for healing.
I appreciate the thought, although I won't be using it that often. I'm going to try saving it for the important boss fight since I have a limited amount of uses for it, so I won't be using it for most battles.
Hold up, it took so long to get you one good damaging move, and you're not even going to use it. I'm disappointed, Ben. It's one thing to not have a great way of fighting enemies. It's another to have one and then just not use it. I'm sure we have some ethers you can use. I definitely won't need them.
In Ben's defense, my magic is able to get through normal enemy encounters while he doesn't have as many options, so it makes more sense to keep them for when he would really need them instead.
Yeah, that's right. I'll be coming up when you need me. Don't worry about it. I'm sure you can handle most of our encounters anyway.
Guys, I just woke up from a quick sleep session. What's happening with this fairy here?
This fairy is going to be giving us the oxyale, which allows us to breathe underwater. It is required because the next main area we are going to is actually underwater.
That's good and all, but how are we going to spend the next few minutes if we're not going underwater until the next video?
Yes, we are going to stop inside of a cave in a waterfall, as we're going to need another item. This isn't needed for the water area, though is required for the major area after that. We'll be doing both of those in the next video to make up for the shorter time here. I figured we'd get this now since it only takes a couple minutes and we're already doing the smaller tasks in this video already.
I still wonder, what exactly is the reason for all of these required items to be placed in these weird places? It's almost like Garland put them here to mess with us, as there's no reason why they would be put around in caves that nobody else would ever go to.
That is a good observation, Ben. Joe, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think this is the first time you've ever asked my input on something. This is a great moment in our blossoming friendship.
Yeah, it's great and all, but what do you think?
Oh, I have no idea. I really don't have any input right now, but thanks for the thought. I'll come up with something that will really knock your socks off.
I don't think my socks will be going anywhere, but that's fine. We're almost to the end. I guess I'll mention after the water area is done in the next video in the series, we'll be going through the wind section, which we'll be getting access through a tower that has been previously unseen. That is what this item will be useful for.
We're going in the sky. Can't we just use the airship? We just got it, and that's literally what it does, goes in the air. I'm sure it can go just a little bit higher. I don't see why that would be a huge problem.
That's a good idea. I'm not sure why that wouldn't work. Maybe there's just a limit on how high they can really go. But I'm not sure there's really an explanation as to why exactly.
It's fine. I just might be overthinking things a little bit. It's all right.
Is nobody going to mention Donald getting wrecked just now?
I was hoping everyone would ignore it, but no Joe of all people had his keen eye set out at just the right time.
Ben, I did have some input on that airship thing. My idea is that the airship just wouldn't work. It's been in the sand for probably a long time, and although we can go a certain amount of distance above the ground, all of the sand pulls it down, making us unable to go any higher.
That's probably not right, but I'm glad you're putting some real thought into it, which is all I really wanted you to do.
Good to hear it, Joe. But I do have to mention, we're cutting away to the airship again. One of the last stops is in this new town. We're going to come back later, but there are some spells that would be great now. We'll come back when we can speak the language of the people coming up soon.
How are we going to learn a language? Is there really no other way to get what we need? I'm pretty sure we can just take it. If it's really the world at stake, then I'm sure they'll understand.
When this new language is learned and we get whatever item we need, is it really going to be all that helpful? Or will we ever need to talk with anyone else for a different reason?
No, we will be learning an entirely new language to us just so we can speak with one person and then never use it again. For some reason, the people at the shops are just fine with communicating like everyone else has in the game, which is more convenient for us, but also a bit inconsistent.
Good to know. I'll be getting myself the full life spell, which will no doubt come in handy a lot, assuming we run out of Phoenix Downs, which honestly I'm doubting by this point.
Yeah, that probably won't get used all that much. At least we have it just in case, but these spells are usually more helpful in concept. Like, sure, having a magic spell that attacks undead enemies specifically is nice, but if you can hit them with a sword and do much more damage, then it's not really worth it.
And in case anyone missed it, I'm looking at you, Joe.
Who's Joe?
We made our way back to that island with the bottled fairy and that waterfall, as I think that's the last place we'll need to go to before finishing up today.
I'm glad this turned out well. Aside from Donald getting knocked out once in a battle, there wasn't that much trouble we faced. But maybe that'll be different once we get into the water next time.
I don't know if this is a bad time to mention, but I never learned how to swim, so even if we can breathe underwater, I don't know how far I will get through.
That's all right. We will be sinking to the bottom, so you won't have to learn any swimming techniques.
Somehow that doesn't make me feel any better.
If you want to let the better fighter do all the work, then we can just have you be unconscious for the battles and let me get the experience.
I think we'll be okay. Thank you for guiding us today, Barack. As long as you don't take any more of Joe's pills, we should be able to finish the game soon. See you all next time.
Anytime, Ben. I look forward to getting the last 2 crystals. We're nearing the end, but there's still more to do. Catch you later.
Peace out, people.
Goodbye, everyone.